All right, it looks like we're live. Welcome everyone. My name is Stacy, and as you already know, I am the graduate assistant for the Nonprofit Leadership Master's program at Penn. And with me today is another very special guest to share her experience in the nonprofit leadership program. It is 2019 alumna Kathryn Buonantony. Did I say your last name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Good job.
awesome.
That's awesome. It's very rare people get that on the first try.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel very, very privileged now. But yeah, thank you again, Kathryn, for spending some time with us today, this not morning, not like early afternoon, I guess. And to start off this little interview, could you let us know what initially brought you to the Nonprofit Leadership Master's program? Like, what was the thought process for you in deciding to apply in the first place?
Sure. Well, back in 2018, when I first applied, I was kind of at this place in my career where I was about a year out of college. I was teaching and I was kind of thinking about my future. And I decided that I wanted to get into the nonprofit world. That was a goal that I had for a while. I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I just knew that I was very passionate about social impact. So I did some searching and I found the nonprofit program at Penn and decided that it sounded like a great fit. I applied and thankfully was accepted. And it has really been the catalyst to starting my career in the nonprofit sector.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you were kind of earlier in your career, which I think goes to show there's a great amount of diversity in the program when it comes to levels of experience. Like some people have had like 20, 30-year long careers and others are relatively fresh out of college. So that's really great to hear. When you were in the program, was there a specific class or project that really helped you grow or made an impact in this career journey?
Yeah, definitely. Thinking back, I would say that my design thinking class was definitely the most pivotal class in terms of having me grow as a person, as a leader, and just getting that hands-on experience working with a nonprofit. I was part of the hybrid cohort, and so that entailed that we were online, but then we also spent about a month in total on campus. So during our on-campus portion, we were able to meet for our design thinking class where we worked with the Associated Services of the Blind. So this was a great way to kind of learn about stakeholders, how we should be giving specific priority to certain stakeholders, and just designing a project to benefit those people specifically. And it was a great way to build group dynamics because we were all put into certain groups. We had to build a prototype. So it really got us thinking about planning, about creating a product or a service that will benefit our stakeholders, which is really what it boils down to in the nonprofit sector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like that particular project was kind of like realistic in a way, like it allowed you to practice the skills that you probably use at your current job and, in other positions as well.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And another class that it surprised me, I enjoyed this class, but social finance was definitely a class that I was able to learn a lot from. And now I use that almost every single day in my job. I do not work in finance, but I work with grants and on the development team. So getting used to looking at balance sheets and different financial pieces of information, it has been really, really helpful because now I'm familiar with that. So it's something that I use almost every day.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people coming into the program, they see classes like nonprofit law or finance, and they think, oh, this is going to be some really technical thing, like almost a mini law or finance class. But in reality, it's all very grounded in nonprofit management and in like the day-to-day work. So yeah, glad to hear that as well. That actually you've already touched on the next question that I wanted to ask, which was how the program aspects inform your current work. So maybe instead of talking about the curriculum, although you could definitely feel free to talk about that if you want, but the program structure and the network as well. How did those things all together inform your current work with the Girl Scouts?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say on top of what I already mentioned with social finance, one thing that really helped me in my career is just learning the different concepts and theories that are really top of mind now in the nonprofit world. One example of that is in social entrepreneurship, I was able to learn about logic models, and that's a project that I've been working on at my organization, because nowadays donors are looking for things like that. And that was something that had never been done before at Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania. So that was a project I took on because of my training in the program, to be able to put logic models together to apply for different grants.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like there's so many different aspects of grant writing that come into play. Like there, of course, is the action of writing itself, but then also like you need to have the data ready. You need to
Mhm,
be able to communicate all of the information to stakeholders and donors in a way that is easily digestible. So
definitely.
yeah, so it sounds like that has been really beneficial. Um, I guess in line with that, with the network that I mentioned previously, was there a specific way that the cohort community supported your growth? Because I know you mentioned you did the hybrid program, so it was kind of this mix. How did you feel like the hybrid program structure and cohort supported you throughout this master's degree program?
Yeah, I would say our cohort was so supportive of each other. I mean, we had a group chat going since the start of the program, and people still post in it to this day. I mean, everyone is so supportive of each other. And I was one of the youngest people in my cohort. As you said before, there were a lot of people who had been in their career for 10, 20 years and had a lot more experience than I did. So it was amazing to be able to learn with these people who already had that hands on experience. And they were always so supportive and willing to um, disseminate their knowledge that they had already learned, and reach out and say, oh, if you need me to look over your resume, if you need, help with interview prep, things like that, or if you just need advice on whatever issue is going on at your organization right now, I'm willing to talk about that. And it was really open ended to anyone in the group. And it was just a very supportive, amazing group of people.
Mhm. Oh, that's really great. And also, I forget, you were working while doing the program as well?
Yes, I was
Okay, yeah.
working. So that
So
was another aspect that was really great about the program. We were all working
mhm,
simultaneously. So it was really nice to have that flexible schedule as well.
mhm. Yeah, and I'm sure having people to, when it's 7 o'clock and you're tired from work, but you have to log into class, people to commiserate with on that was helpful as well.
So yeah,
Um,
definitely.
mhm.
Definitely.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, do you feel, especially now with COVID and everything being online, that the online features of the program were structured in a way that supported everything that you just talked about? Like, could you speak a little bit about your experience specifically, uh, like being in school partially online at least, and dealing with that?
Yeah, of course. One thing I've been saying a lot is that we were able to learn Zoom before it was cool. So I know now that's a thing that everybody's using because of the pandemic. That is, and it's a platform that we had been using for that whole entire year. So we became very familiar with it, and I really felt that our courses were designed very thoughtfully. A lot of people may be wary of online education, but I really believe that I thrived in this format, which I was a little unsure of at first, but I really thought that every course was very thoughtfully planned, with a lot of detail. We had group discussions, we had, online lectures, and we had pre-recorded lectures as well, and everything was really balanced very well for us to be able to learn. So it was not us just trying to teach ourselves and doing a lot of reading. While of course there was reading and there was classwork as well. we were able to exchange that dialogue with professors, which is great.
Mhm. Yeah, that's every online student's worst fear is having to essentially teach themselves. So
Mhm.
it's good to hear you touch on that as well. Well, my last question, and in some ways, the one that folks watching have been waiting for if they are prospective students thinking about applying to NPL, what advice do you have for the prospective students who are thinking about applying to this program? What would you tell them in this moment as an alum?
I would say definitely go for applying to this program. If it's something that you're unsure of, I mean, it was honestly one of the best decisions that I personally made for my career because it was able to catapult me into this sector. And I think no matter what stage you're at in your career, whether you were like me, or you're just starting out, or if you're someone who has been in this field for years upon years, I mean, there's something for everyone, which is great. And I really recommend people getting involved in a leadership practicum because that could provide great connections for you going forward. And in addition to that, really get to know your cohort because they're the group that's going to support you. And our cohort, I believe, was even more special just because we had that hybrid model. But we were all able to really stay in touch and support each other and just continue helping each other in the social sector.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the leadership practicum as well, because NPL has quite a few connections with different nonprofits and similar organizations in Philly, and we're happy to connect you if you're not already working full time or working with an organization to one of our partners so that you can gain mentorship experience with them. So, thank you for bringing that up and for all of your time today, Kathryn. This was really great. And I also want to remind folks who are watching that the priority deadline for submitting your application is February 1st. So if you submit it before then, we'll be sure to look at your app. If you submit it after, there's a chance, depending on how full things get, that your app still may be looked at. But February 1st, please be sure to submit everything by then. And then we also have another information session next Wednesday, which is the last one of the semester. So before we go, Kathryn, do you have any last words for our listeners?
The only thing I can say is really just go for it. Apply for the program, see what happens, and just try as hard as you can with it. I mean, you get out of it what you put in. So, yeah. And thank you
Yeah,
so much for having me, Stacy.
yeah, of course. And I couldn't agree more. Folks should apply. They should DM us if they have any questions. And yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Feel free to reach out via email, via Facebook. We're here to answer your questions, and we want to support you in your decision to apply if that's what you decide to do.